Hey, this is Tracy Lewis from Stuff and Things. Every year I get a couple of St. Patrick's Day cards. This year I have received them from Nancy and Libby. Nancy's on the left actually inspired me to attempt to create St. Patrick's Day cards. So I have gone through my supplies and found a die cut in some words that says Happy St. Patrick's Day. I have to unbury. I was wanting to show you the set that comes from. So I'm unburying it now. I try to get all of the word dies that I can since I lost everything, and I had a lot of words in the past, and I do love to use die cut words in my projects. I think it looks especially nice when you're doing sort of an all die cut project to have the words die cut as well. And I have filled up enough time. I have brought out, it's called Word Wishes dies, and here are the words that you have. I have another set, so I went through, found that I had St. Patrick's Day happy, pulled them all out, and that got me 3/4 of the way. The 1/4 of the way is that I noticed that Nancy, and I'm sorry Nancy if you watch this, I did not ask your permission to steal your very clever idea. She took probably a heart punch, could be a punch or a die cut, and she made the seam in the middle, which I'll show you how I did that to replicate. I did look for some green glimmer paper to mimic Libby and could not find any, but I did find one bit of trim that is already in a color that I can use, and I have mostly all of my trim is white, so I also could have colored my trim using either the blends or the many marvelous markers or re-inkers. In this case I got this trim from my first medley that I bought, the Botanical Prints medley. So I went ahead and I thought, you know, I've got 5 yards of it. I got lots to go a long ways. Let's see if it says 5 yards on it. It does not say. Twill ribbon though is what it is. So I got the ribbon from Botanical Prints medley. I have 2 dies with basic heart shapes. I have some more elaborate ones that are stitched hearts from the Be Mine, and this is from Be Mine. These hearts are puffy hearts, and I tried them and they end up being too puffy. They are the matching die cuts from Special Someone, the balloons, and they come out, they were the first ones that I tried. So this is a fun thing, you know, I like to have everything. I buy the sets, coordinating. So to challenge myself, I thought I must make these 2 guys St. Patty's Day cards. So this did not work for me. The hearts were just too puffy, so I tossed that aside. Then I cut all of these hearts out in a foil, getting the idea of glimmer. I couldn't find any green glimmer, so instead I'm doing foil, which is the closest I could come. And then I'm going to show you how I found to put that nice seam line in. I only have the big Stampin' Up. I do have a bone folder, and I also have the stylus. So I can't really use what I used to do the score line for the bases that I make is the trimmer, but the trimmer does not work with these very small hearts. So I took a heart and I shoved it up in the middle of one of the valleys. You have to turn it upside down, put it in the valley, and then push to get that line. And then of course you have to make sure your top of the heart is centered where the seam is going to go. It's not that easy, so if I were doing enough of these for all of my card making buddies, this would be a challenge. But there is one heart I saved. I've gone ahead and done a bunch of them. So that is a clever way to make a shamrock. So now let's take these, get rid of the scoreboard, and I will show you what my little shamrocks look like. Now I haven't really decided. Notice that Nancy took like a blend marker, Old Olive probably, and just drew in her line. So I am torn between drawing in the line or going through the book I have in my catalog. I do two things to my catalogs. I spiral bind them. I sticky note my products that I like that I don't own. As I buy them, I remove the sticky notes. I also keep lots of lists, as you can see. I am a list maker. So in this case, I'm trying to find something that will be a stem for my shamrock. And I highlight, it's pink now. It was orange. The yellow was too light, but orange is if I'm going to get it, and then pink is I did get it. So that's why this ends up orange, because it was yellow and then pink over the top. So I'm looking for a stem with something that I own. I could maybe make a stem. Nope, that's just a line. That's not, it's hollow. And that is also a single line. I need something that is two lines. I could try to make a stem out of the branch. So this is part of the imperfect way of crafting that I really like, which is just trying to create something that you don't actually just have. Here's the other set of words I looked at called Well Written. And here's Word Wishes, which is the set that I did find the St. Patrick's in. That gave me hope that I could actually come up with, I have found the stem. Right here is a dandelionish looking flower with a long stem called Sweet Silhouettes. I'm going to go away and come right back. I'm going to go dig this out and cut. I'm going to do foil stems. So I could take this and just snip off the ends of it. So I'll probably just have to cut one of the stem and trim it down into 3. So I will be right back with that. And then you guys can watch me try to create the full cards that I want to make. Right, I'm back. I've made my stem. Here's my dandelion. The stem has the little dots showing through from the holes because I had a shim in, and I'm okay with that. If you do not like these dots, you can just remove any extra shims. If your particular die cutter is so tight between the roller and the plates, then it just means it's too tight and you probably are stuck with what you've got. But I always have extra shims around, and I had used the extra shims when doing the lettering because it's pretty delicate and I wanted to make sure that it cut through the whole way. So I wanted to show you that. I'm gonna now, these dies out here make me nervous, so I'm gonna show you a little trick. I keep at my desk an empty case called dies that I keep in. I went ahead and did full sheet magnets on both sides, not strips like I do for storage of certain die families. And when I'm in the middle of something and I get this many dies out, I start thinking, oh, I might lose them. I am notorious for losing little stamps and little dies. So they are now all safely put away. This is just a Stampin' Up stamp case that I threw some colored, this is retired DSP, just to make it more interesting than not and hide the glue marks. And the next was paper. Because this is one of those very random projects where I don't have all the materials at hand, I am digging through the catalog a lot. And in this case, I'm going to the papers. I had a paper in mind, but I wanted to make sure I had it. These actually should all be pink now, or orange actually, if I take my pink. To be consistent, you can see I'm not very consistent, so if I take my pink, this means yellow was I want it, or even ordered it, and then all of these I already got. I just didn't mark this page. So the paper I'm looking at is the Garden Lane. I had in mind some geometric shapes because I had a product that I have just purchased. I unboxed it recently on a video, and it is a Celebration Part 2 free item, and it's vellum that's been dry embossed with a grid pattern of dots. And I went ahead and cut down a piece here. So I brought out some of the geometric shapes that I liked from the Garden Lane. The backs also can be considered because it's front and back, but I was really looking for more geometric than floral or leaf elements. So these two were what I had in mind as I liked the best. I went ahead and stacked those two, and for a base I could go in either case with just white or garden green, and I believe I like the garden green. So no white will show from my base. I will put this on a white base. I already went ahead and you can see I cut out my Happy St. Patrick's Day in the garden green, which always makes me happy when I'm not wasting any materials. So I will use that piece. And here is what the layering looks like with the darker color. From there, I tried using this one. Will have to have, if I don't have any more words to cut out, I will cut out a big rectangle from the middle to use for something else. So here is one of my cut down vellums with some letters that I was working on, and it looks okay, but I thought it looked a little bit flat, and when you move it over to the dark green one, it really gets lost. It's just way too dark. So to take care of that problem, I then added white. So I kept these green letters, and then I'm going to do double letters, probably offset. I will use mono glue to glue these together. Then I showed you how I made my hearts into shamrocks. Let's see what they look like. I have a whole bunch of them cut. Now this multiple heart, not all of these are the same size, so I did my best to match them up. And I believe this one's bigger than the other two, but it might just work. So I can either do a 3 heart shamrock or 4. Here's my stem, which I will trim down shorter. It'll probably be enough for the 2. I'll just cut it in half. It can be a 3 stem shamrock or a lucky shamrock, which is probably what I will do. And maybe to make this work, since 2 of these hearts are bigger than the others, it'll be something like that, and then the stem will be coming out probably underneath. I'll go ahead and put these guys over the top. So that's the shamrock. I envision the shamrock being up here somewhere. I cut out enough hearts to make 2, maybe 3 shamrocks. So I might vary it a bit between the cards, since already the DSP is different. Alright, then the last bit, I already showed you I had picked out some trim. And so the trim piece that I have in mind is going to be folded down around the vellum. And the card will look something like that. And then I have my second layer of white. Here's what they look like. I will not bore you with the assembly of these. I'll go ahead and assemble them and do a final reveal. It'll probably just be 2 pictures of them as they are assembled, so I can get them out in the mail. It is the 10th today, so I will hopefully get this video up. You still have time to do your Be Inspired and make some Valentine, listen to me, St. Patrick's Day cards out of whatever materials you can find. You've got another day or so probably to work that out and get them in the mail. St. Patrick's Day, I will always remember, is the 17th, because the only horse I ever raised, I was a horse person for years and years, and I raised a horse that a breeder gave me. I had him, she gave him to me when he was 2 weeks old. I raised and showed him till he was 9, and his name is, of course, Patrick. So, St. Patrick's Day will always and forever be Patrick's birthday, March 17th. Thanks for watching.